Hey guys, Leo here. I just want to jump right into this. Essentially, this is how I took an agency, my first client, to over 6 figures in only 6 months at 19 years old. So who am I? My name is Leo. I am 20 years old now. I'm from New York, but I was raised for most of my life in Hong Kong, and I also run a remote sales agency. And since then, I got my first agency client that went from around 30,000 to over 130,000 in just 6 months. In revenue. Just a few photos of me. I'm not those fucking smma gurus, but the proof is in the pudding. So I had to get it out there. Before I started doing all this, I was in Hong Kong. I worked in restaurants, bars, gyms, corporate firms, did some modeling, etc., whatever it is. So I was always making a bit of money here and there, but I fucking hated taking orders from others and being told to do, because I had such a bad experience with it. And one of the things was literally after I left my last restaurant job, where I literally got into a fight with a chef, and I think it was because I made like a mistake on something. The guy literally fucking took it out on me right in the kitchen, and yeah, it wasn't great. And I got into a fight. After that, like, I swore to myself, I told myself that I would never go back to any conventional 9-to-5 job that I had no leverage with at all. And so the purpose of this training and SOP, right? Because this is more of an SOP and training rather than just fucking gloating. Right? I'm not here to fucking do shit. My goal is to walk you through the top insights that allow me to close deals and make money with my eyes closed, while showing you how I took my first client from $30,000 to $130,000 plus in revenue. Next goal would be to show you the obstacles of becoming a top closer and an influential salesperson, so you can overcome them much easier than I did. Because, you know, during the 6 months, I definitely ate some fucking dog shit. So I can guarantee you that. 3 is, if I succeed in opening your eyes to the importance of becoming a beast at sales and how to close deals in your sleep, I will offer you the opportunity to leverage my own resources, my coaching, my community, in order to start your own agency and consulting. And I even left a little free gift at the end of the document to help you close more deals. And I'll link this document in the description of the video, but let's get started. So some misconceptions you might have about sales and remote closing. Now, you might have seen those ads, and yes, I'm talking about those ads that are like, make 5 to 7K per month from home, working 2 hours a day. You must have thought it was sick, which is what it sounds like. Don't get me wrong. 2 hours, 5 to 7K per month, easy, light work. I'm definitely going for that. But that's not what it's like at all. 2, this isn't a part-time thing that only takes 2 hours a day. I have worked some 12-hour days, 10-hour days, 14-hour days, which was not great, but what can you do? And 3, it's easy. You might think that it's easy, but in reality, you actually suck. And I sucked my first time. I sucked booty the first time I even started this stuff. But so, if this somewhat matches your thought process behind closing, or at least a little, or at least in terms of sales at all, in terms of your agency, then regardless of whether or not, like, this is basically what I thought when I went into my first sales call and started this entire remote sales agency, which I soon found out to be completely wrong. And I realized that this was not going to be a walk in the park, right? And so just to quickly go over some of the insights that made me a top closer, and no particular order, you're not selling for yourself. You have to have conviction in the product. You have to become the person who closes deals and runs a sales agency mentally and physically. You have to put in the reps, get better at asking questions. Remember, you're not selling the product, you're selling them the future the product achieves. NLP training and removing yourself from the outcome. And finally, making it possible for for a client to not feel their pain points. First fucking thing, you are not selling for yourself, right? One of the first mistakes that I made with sales calls was I was just doing them to hop on the call. And I would hop on the call, ask the client very scripted questions that were literally sounded robotic, and I wasn't really listening. I was using fucking Charlie Morgan presentation questions that I would literally read out word for word and try and close a fucking client. During that time, yes, I took my client to their very first 10K month within the first 2 months of working together, but I could have done at least 20 to 30K easily if I made the call about the client, not me. And the way that I recommend viewing sales calls is literally therapy sessions. You're there to just listen to the client, diagnose them with an issue, and provide a solution, just like a fucking psychologist. This issue, overall, it cost me around $40,000 in potential sales. 2, you have to have conviction in the product. Now, this is one of the craziest fucking things, because I'll tell you the success behind the story. I believe that selling anything is easy. But if you do not believe in what you're selling, that's another thing. That's a whole other problem. Because it's like selling a placebo medication that you know will never help your patient, but you're still selling it to them anyways, and you feel kind of shitty. And it's like fraud type shit, right? I didn't know as much about the product that I do now, so that definitely contributed to the issue. So in this instance, when I was working with my remote sales agency with my first client, I actually told him about, how I felt about his product, because I had, I saw some churn / bad reviews, and I heard a few things that were like kind of off-putting, and I didn't think of the product very highly. But after I brought it up, we literally sat down for one day and went really, really well. We thought of a crazy no-brainer offer, worked together to try and maximize the product within his industry, which isn't something I normally do with the sales agency, but this was something really important to me, and it was my first client, so I just did it. And I'll be honest, this issue did span until mid to late January, just like the other one, which wasn't a great month for us. I think we did about 5 to 7K in revenue. But what's fucking crazy is after we sat down, refined the offer, worked on the product a little bit, we did 40K in sales the next fucking 40 fucking K. Again, fucking proof in the pudding. Literally, once I had more conviction behind the product, we had our best month, and I had my best month in terms of my conversion rate by fucking far, right? I was closing around 1 in 3 deals, so that's around a 33% conversion rate, which I'm not gonna lie, for me personally, within the first 6 months of starting my agency, I'm very fucking happy with. So I'd say this issue probably cost me around $10,000 in potential sales. But the point here is, if you believe in what you're selling, it can go a long way, just like it did for us. 3, become the person who closes deals and runs an agency mentally and physically. Now, what I mean by that is, Charlie Morgan says, to be a millionaire, you have to be the person who is a millionaire, right? But he doesn't mean you actually have to have $1 million in the bank to be a millionaire. No. He means you have to stay fit. You can't eat like shit. You have to focus and be productive, and you have to organize your time well. So it's essentially looking at the most successful people in the world and mimicking their traits and qualities. And for me personally, this was a big issue because there was a period of time where I didn't stay fit. I gained weight and I ate fucking burgers and dog shit every day. And I also watched the fucking P word. Yes, I watched the P word, bro. I'm not gonna say it because I'm not gonna let YouTube take this video down. Fuck that. But I watched the P word. I would get out of bed late. I was scrolling on social media. I was an absolute degen for like a solid 3 weeks to a month because I wanted to escape from that pressure, the pain, and the work. And you can see the fucking photo here. Do I look healthy and happy in this? Fuck no. Fuck no, I look like shit, right? And fortunately, one day I looked at myself in the mirror and I looked like a bum. So I literally turned my shit around after that and I got back into my consistent routine. Anyways, after that, I did feel better, my thoughts were clear, and I performed at a higher level, and I started seeing myself really pick up on the skills behind closing. So the point is here is it's normal to have those periods of time, but it's not okay to let yourself stay in it. We can all be degens sometimes, that's fine, but you can't stay like that forever. And you have to realize that the most successful people, like, Iman Gadzi, whatever it is, whatever smma guru you're watching, whoever it is on YouTube, they don't allow themselves to be like that because they're disciplined, they're busy, they're focused, and they possess traits to produce a return on investment. Because this lasted for around 3 to 4 weeks, it wasn't very long, I'd say this cost me around $15,000 in potential sales. 4, now this one doesn't need much explanation, putting in the reps. February, the month that we did 40K, was our best month by far, but what was my schedule like during that period? Well, you can see right here, like literally one of the days I had something every hour. So I literally sat in this chair, this fucking chair, and I know that there are some freaks out there with even busier schedules, but this was a lot for me personally because a year back I was fucking jacking off, bro. I was having circle jerk with myself, bro, and I had nothing on my calendar. I'm not gonna sit here and weep about it because I actually fucking liked it, and this is what it takes to see amazing results. So when it comes to you being a closer or having sales calls with your remote sales agency, this is what your schedule should look like if you're having a really good month. And just so you know how bad of a month January was for me, take a look at this, right? I was doing 12% conversion. That's dog shit, right? We did make a decent amount of revenue, right? But that's only because we did close some of January clients in the next month. So it was good, but 26 calls, 3 deals, 19 offers, that's dog shit, right? And that was also the period of time where I didn't have conviction on the product and all these other things that I had to learn. Even in your worst months, like this one, you continue to push forward, and fucking wowzers, the next month just turned out to be my best month of 40K in sales. Next one, getting better at asking questions. Now, in my opinion, and for all you fuckers that want to get into this stuff, asking questions is one of the most important skills that you could learn when it comes to closing deals and selling. Get that ingrained into your fucking head. It's not just about the wording of the question, but the timing of the question, the tone, the tempo, and the communication of pain and shortcomings. Because asking questions. Bro, I'm telling you, I didn't think this shit went that deep when I first started. I was just begging clients to just like, buy my shit, please. Like, buy my course, buy my 99% course, whatever it is, right? Like, I was just begging them on my knees. But lucky for me, I don't know if you could tell, but I've always been that annoying fucker that, you know, just wanted to ask a lot of questions growing up. So it was a fairly smooth transition into this for me personally, once I learned about his power and the technical side of things. And like I said earlier, at one point, I was literally reading off a Charlie Morgan script of questions word for word during my conversations, and I barely closed when I did that. But don't get me wrong, right? I'm not shitting on frameworks. I think frameworks are important to control the narrative of a sales call, which if you can do, you'll be able to close any fucking thing, anything. Right? So just have a normal conversation where you're actually present and implement active listening on every sales call that you do while having a certain framework to go off of in order to control the narrative and the direction of the conversation that you're having with the client. What's interesting is that people have, at the same time, a very good bullshit sensor. They'll be able to sniff your bullshit from a mile away, and they'll leave the call and associate your quality of performance with the actual company that you're working with. If you're a closer, if you do the same thing as me, whatever it is. So I would highly recommend prioritizing your questioning skills in the beginning of your sales journey. But even if you are an agency owner, right, and you're the one doing sales calls, they're still going to associate how you are on these sales calls with your overall service delivery and your product. You can't be booty on these calls, man. The next thing, right, you're not selling the product, you're selling the future the product achieves. So for the first 2 months, I was under the impression that I was just selling the product's functionality and how it could integrate into businesses that we worked with, right? But that soon proved to be wrong. And I like to think of it like this. So for example, right, like why do people buy supercars or luxury handbags? I can tell you for certain, it's not because of the fucking V12 engine or the straps to the bag being this really fucking great moose leather or some shit. And if you are one of those fuckers who buy shit for that fucking engine or because of the fucking strap on a bag, fucking get a grip. They're buying the shit because of the status that it provides, right? So you buy a BMW or a Porsche because you want to look badass on the street. You buy Louis Vuitton because you want to look fancy, right? And how does that play into your future? Well, if you achieve a certain level of status or you look like you do, you'll be treated very differently, and it might open new doors of opportunity for you and your business. And that comes with buying a product. So you're only buying it, and your clients are only buying it because it helps them attain their desired outcome or future. Genuinely, this is one of my favorite analogies because what you're doing during these sales calls is you're identifying their current situation, you're identifying the future, and you are increasing the gap between the two. Pull them back from their future, pull them down into their reality, show them how fucking shit their situation is. Once I picked up on this, I closed so many fucking deals. You have to create the gap between where the person is now and where they want to be and position yourself as the bridge to do so. So yes, this is a fucking Charlie Morgan visual. Fucking judge me. I don't give a fuck. This is the best way to describe how you should be going about your sales calls if you're a sales agency owner, if you're a closer, whatever it is. Next thing, right? NLP training and removing yourself from the outcome. Now, you guys know this, January wasn't a great month for me in terms of my conversion and like overall with the agency, 5 to 7K approaching the end of January. I was actually fortunate enough to be referred to an amazing NLP coach called Garth. Now, NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. In the beginning of the program, like the guy told me like, yeah, it's gonna be like 1,500. And I was like, I don't know if I want to fucking invest this shit. Like, is this shit actually a fucking scam or what? And I was fairly skeptical, but then I made a 26.6x ROI on this within just 4 weeks. 26.6x ROI on $1,500 fucking dollars. So NLP essentially teaches you how to understand and connect with people in another realm as you learn how to respond based on what a person says, how they look, what they feel, etc. And up until now, I can't even say how much ROI I've gotten from it because I can scan a person's thoughts and needs in and out. If I'm speaking to you on the fucking phone, on the video, whatever it is, I can scan your fucking mind. While I did learn the power of NLP, I slowly stopped caring if I closed the deal or not. And I don't mean that I don't care if I do a good job. I mean that I don't care if the person buys with us or not, because I know that someone else will. Not caring and being removed from the outcome of the call will increase your chances of even closing the deal. And when I was doing sales calls for the first 2-3 months, bro, I was shitting bricks if the person didn't want to buy and if I didn't close, right? It was like begging a girl to go out with you like a loser, like, please fucking go out with me, please. I was literally on my hands and knees begging them to buy my shit, so that drew them away from me, right? So very similar to detaching yourself from whether a girl says yes or no to you, be the same way with the people on your fucking sales calls. Now, finally, on one of the best fucking points and one of the best things I've cracked when it comes to sales and closing, make it impossible for them not to feel their pain points. How do I do this? So from my last insight into becoming a top closer, this is where you guys separate yourselves from the rest. Now, please remember, the person you're on the call with probably spoken to many others like you before, and they're tired of you guys' shit. Like, stop fucking selling me shit, right? No bullshit, and just straight to the point when speaking to them. And this took me a while to crack, as I would normally have a 15-20 minute routine long presentation where I would literally lose the client's interest within the first 5 minutes of me presenting. It was just too much, right? But I have found a way to make business owners lose their marbles because of how bad their systems, setups, and situations are, right? Instead of a long presentation, talk about the business and its background. All I did was audit their sales, their websites, their social media, and their online presence in order to show them how bad they really are. So by the end of the conversation, they know that they're not reaching their goals because of their shitty systems. And by then, I've given them a no-brainer offer and made the gap between them and their future so fucking big that it gets out of this fucking screen that you can see me on, that they would be crazy to say fucking no to me. And I'm really not going to say anything else on this. I think instead, like, you guys can access the presentations and see the difference between them. You can see presentation 1, dog shit, presentation 2, goated. Like, this is the fucking way. This second one, I'll link it into the description below. Check this one out. I hope you guys found this valuable, and if you are interested in maximizing your agency's potential, all you have to do is click on this link on the document. Drop a comment down below. If you actually enjoy these types of videos, I will make much more. I'll be posting a lot more content in the next few days and in the next few weeks and in the next months to come. So let me know what you want to see next, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Thank you so much. Peace out.